Hey, fifth grade. I'm going to be walking you through the steps for your President's Art Project. And remember that you will want to try your best and put forth your best effort on this project because other staff members will be voting on their top 3 choices for these projects. So I'm going to go ahead and move my screen down here. That way you get a better view of what we're doing for this project. Now, the first thing you're going to need is a ruler and a pencil. As you can see, I've got mine here ready to go. The next thing you'll need are your 2 papers. So I just drew a makeshift president paper here, and then I have my blank piece of white paper here. The first thing you're going to want to do is take your president and your blank paper, and at the very top, I'm going to actually write the word here once I get my lead going. Okay, well, I'll need a new pencil then. There we are. And label it with the word top. And I'm going to do the exact same thing with my blank paper. So I'll show you what I just did here. I've got top labeled on my president and top on my blank sheet of paper. Now I'm going to take my ruler. I'm going to start with my president, and at the part where I labeled top, I'm going to use my ruler and line up the 0 with the very edge of the paper. So I'll show you that now. Remember, when you're using a ruler, you want to line it up so the 0 is lined up directly with that edge there. We're using the inches side. Okay. Now, when it's lined at the 0, I'm going to make my first mark at the 2 inches. I'm going to make another mark at the 4 inches, and a third mark at the 6, and my fourth mark at the 8. Okay, now I'm going to take my ruler, and without doing anything else, I'm just going to scoot it down to the bottom of my page. So my president is still looking at me and smiling. And I'm going to again line up the 0 with the edge, and I'm going to try to do this kind of towards the very bottom of my paper. I got my 0 lined up, and again I'm going to make a mark at the 2, the 4, the 6, and the 8 again. Okay, so now I'm going to lift this to show you what that looks like. So at the top of my page I had it marked at the 2, 4, 6, 8. On the bottom, it looks exactly the same. Marked at the 2, 4, 6, and 8. Okay, now I'm going to take my paper again, and my president's again smiling at me, ready to go, and I'm going to connect my lines using my ruler here, and so that I draw a straight line. Here, I'll show you exactly what I did just then. So you can see I connected my top mark to my bottom mark. I'm going to do the same with my next set of markings. And with the third. And again with my last set. Okay. So you'll see, kind of looks like I put my president in jail. Here are my 4 lines. Before I do anything else, I'm going to set my president off to the side, and I'm going to take my blank paper. Now remember, we've already written top here, so I'm going to turn my paper so that when I look at my paper, I can read top at the very top here. We're going to do the same thing. Line up our 0 with the edge of the paper, and I'm going to again mark at the 2, the 4, the 6, and the 8. Then remember, just like last time, we scooch our ruler down, line it up with a 0, and again I mark at the 2, 4, 6, 8. Now, once again, I'll show you at the top I've got my markings, and at the bottom I've got my markings. Now I'm ready to connect them. Alright, so line up my first marking, and gotta get them in line here. Okay, and connect. Shoop. and connect my second markings. Connect my third markings, trying to get it as straight as possible, and finally connect my fourth markings. Okay, so now again you can see my vertical lines. Now before I go on, I'm going to want to check to make sure that my lines match on my President paper. If they do not match and line up perfectly, see I can see top, let me see, top and top, and my lines match up perfectly on my papers here, I'm ready to go on to the next step. If yours don't match, you need to erase your lines and start over. So restart this video so that you do those first steps correctly. Those of you that are good to go, keep watching. Let's go back to looking at both of our papers at once. So again, I can read top here and top. So I'm looking directly at it so I can read the word top. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my paper here and I'm going to turn it so it's sideways and turn my President so it's sideways. Now, what I'm going to do is at the top of this side here, I'm just going to label it with a star, and I'm going to do the same thing on my President. This helps me so that I keep my papers aligned properly. So you can see I put little stars. Let's start with the President again. So I have the star at the top here. All right. Once again, I'm going to line up the 0 with my edge. And I'm going to go every 2 inches again. So I'll make a mark at the 2, the 4, the 6, the 8, and this time I have enough room to go to the 10. Then remember, take your ruler and scooch to the other side. And again, mark at the, make sure your 0 is lined up with the edge. Mark at the 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. All right, so I've got my markings on the top with my star here and on the bottom. Okay, again, I'm going to connect. All right, connect my first markings. Connect my second markings, my third markings, my fourth markings, and my last markings. So now your paper with your President will look like a grid. We're done with him. Set him off to the side. Okay, remember we have our blank paper that now has top and a star. We want to make sure that the star is now at the top, so when I'm looking at my paper, I can see the star at the top of my paper here. Once again, take your ruler, line up the 0, and we're going to mark at the 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Scooch the ruler down and line up the 0, mark at the 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. I'll take my ruler and use it to connect my markings. First one done. Second one done. Third one done. Fourth one done. And the last one done. Okay, so now again, here's where I'm going to want to take both my blank paper with the just blank grid and my President to make sure that when I put my stars next to each other, that the grid lines up nicely. Okay, you can see that I have my President on top and my grids are lining up. Perfect. Again, if they don't line up, you'll have to start over. They need to line up. Now, the way that we recommend doing this project is instead of trying to draw the whole President at once, you draw by one grid at a time. So as an example, when I'm looking at my President here next to my blank paper, I see that most of these top parts are blank except for where his hair begins. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at one of those grids and I'm only going to focus on that one grid and draw his hair. So I'm looking back and forth between these two pieces. Now, a lot of you have a lot of black space or really dark spaces. Leave the dark spaces until the very end. I saw a lot of students that started by filling in the black spaces, and then they were getting pencil marks all over their hands while they continued their project. Wait to do the dark black spaces at the end. All right, so I'm going to continue his hair here, and again, it's not going to be perfect. Really, what we want you to focus on is just the details, and always trying your best. All right, so that is what I see in this one grid. So I just started his hair. That's all I did. So now I'm going to go on to the next grid next to that here and start drawing what I see showing up in that grid. We got a little more hair. Okay. That's all I see there. So I just drew a little bit more hair in this next box. Okay, so now here's where I'm going to go off to the edge and start drawing even a little bit more that I see. Okay, it kind of goes up close to the edge here and then dips down. And then I see his round head here starts right about halfway down. And boom. Okay, right about there. And then his hair almost connects. This president is a handsome fella, I tell ya. Well, like kind of like a shark fin almost. Oh, and his hair is going in his head. Oh, that must be uncomfortable. Comes back out and then goes down at a sharp angle. Okay. So you can see again, I just decided to draw this one. So it looks really disconnected now, but when I go in to draw this grid, it will connect. Alright, so if I go in and do that, you'll see that it'll eventually connect. So here's where I see that it goes all the way up close to the very edge. And here's where I get to connect the rest of the hair. Connected here. And this one comes down almost all the way down. This one almost all the way down. And this one kind of comes in and then goes out. Alright, then I've got an eyebrow in this one right about here. And I have an eye as well. And it goes like up at an angle here and in. And this one does too. And then it kind of connects down like this. And then we've got his eyeball. Then I see that his eyebrow is starting to come in over here. And a little bit of his eye as well. Interesting. Okay, perfect. Now you can see it's starting to come together. This is way easier than trying to draw the whole thing because you're focusing on just one square at a time. Again, just try your best. Do the best that you can. I'm sure it will be great. And try to finish this by the end of next week. I'll give you a specific date in class. Thanks for watching. Good luck.